If you've been successful at anything, you're definitely going to fail if you don't follow these 4 things. Hi guys, and welcome back, and thank you so much for being part of this, for sharing, for liking, and for commenting on your opinions and what it is that we share about. If you're here for the first time, this is the BVOY project, which is the best version of yourself project, where we share content and information or anything whatsoever that helps every one of us be the best version of themselves in whatever stage you're at. So hopefully you'll find this good, and if you do, please feel free to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the information that we share in the future. Right, what we're talking about today is staying grounded when things are going well. So usually we talk about the concept of staying grounded when things are not going so well, as in when your world is chaotic, stay firm, stay grounded, and try to focus on the things that you're trying to achieve because everything else is chaotic. But in this particular video, which is very unusual, the concept of staying grounded when things are going well, this is avoiding the concept of complacency. So ultimately, once you've succeeded on something, or you've reached a certain target, or chaos has kind of depleted, or it's come to a level that you can manage, which ultimately is what most people call success. It's just when your expectations meet your reality and chaos is beneath the level of management, so you don't feel it. It doesn't feel like you're being overwhelmed. It's just at a manageable level, because whatever version of success you can think of right now, if I were to ask you what's not going well in your life, I can guarantee you'll find them. But if they're not the main things that are on your mind right now, that means they are under the level of capability that you have. They're under the level of management, so you can handle them. Now we're talking about that level, that space where you feel successful, i.e. you've reached a place where you're comfortable, you've reached a place where you've hit a certain target and you can manage what it is that's going on. Now staying grounded in that space where things are going well is very important, because if you don't, guess which way you're gonna go? Back into chaos. You're gonna invite chaos and everything will fall apart all over again. So what do we actually look at? What does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to stay grounded in that space? And what does it mean really to be complacent? So ultimately, this involves the activities that you actually take on, which focus on curiosity and the habits that got you to succeed in the first place, so you don't forget those. The things that got you to where you are now, if you're at a point of success, whether you've hit a certain goal or not. All of those habits that took you from where you were to where you are now, don't throw them away. Ultimately, what we're saying is, if you stop those things and you sit there in your success, you're being complacent and you're going to fall back down. The easiest example to use is because I'm in the UK, one of the biggest things that we tend to hear on the 1st of January, our New Year's resolution, is people talking about weight loss. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. And they sign up to gym memberships. They sign up and start diet plans. They sign up personal trainers and all sorts, okay? Because that's one of the main things that people tend to talk about as a New Year's resolution. In this particular case, most people do actually actively work really hard in the first 3 months or so in terms of losing that weight, and they actually start getting results. Now, if you were to do something like that, where you've set up a program, you set up a eating plan, you actually meal prep up front, you make sure you wake up at 4 in the morning regardless of the weather and how you feel, and you go to the gym and you act on the program that you set, those activities are what got you to where you are now. So if we were to say we've moved from January to March and you've hit your weight goal or your diet plan or whatever it is that you're aiming to do, let's say you're aiming to lose 10 kilo, for example, and you've lost 10 kgs and you're on March. Now, what we're saying here about the concept of being complacent is, if you lose that energy, if you lose those habits, those activities, that curiosity that pushed you to get to that point, what's going to happen is you're going to be complacent. And then you've come to a point, as mentioned before, where your management level or your capacity of chaos is here and your chaos is just underneath. If you become complacent, your chaos will grow and you will drop until you get to a point where chaos is above your capacity, which is where overwhelm then comes in, anxiety comes in, extreme stress comes in, and you start panicking and you fall apart. essentially you end up actually setting up a new New Year's resolution to lose weight, the same amount of weight, to get you back to where you were already, right? This is what we're talking about today. Now, the example of weight is one. You can utilize any of those, any example you can think of in your personal life or in someone else's personal life that you've seen before, and utilize that concept. Now, I hope that makes sense. What I want to talk about today is four things that I would recommend you actually consider doing to make sure that complacency does not seep into your life, okay? Number one is raise the bar. So the concept of raising the bar is at the point where you are and you set a target. We mentioned earlier on as an example to lose 10 kilo. Once you've lost that 10 kilo, raise the bar. If raising the bar means losing more, great. If raising the bar is essentially making sure that you do not ever get to the weight that you were at before, then that's the next bar. That's the next thing you want to set up. Ultimately, what you want to do is to raise the bar. Set things up so that you do things that you've never done before and you actually move on going forward. So ultimately, setting the bar is ensuring that you celebrate the win that you had, but then immediately set the next expectation. Immediately move on to the next thing. As mentioned before, that if you want to lose weight and you hit a certain weight goal, once you've hit that weight goal, you need to set the next expectation almost immediately, because if you don't, the old will settle in and you'll fall backwards to where you were before. Okay, so I've lost 10 kilo of weight. Now set a goal to actually either lose more or create a program that enables or ensures that you don't gain any more weight. And then this becomes the new habit, and therefore weight is no longer an issue. Number two is practice daily reflection. Now, there's certain things that you do in your life that got you to where you are now, whether these are positive or they're negative. These are small steps that got you to where you are. And you won't actually know what's effective in a negative or positive way unless you reflect, unless you look at what it is that you're doing. As an engineer, I've mentioned before that I'm an engineer, and when we actually analyze outcomes and things that have worked or things that have not worked, when we implement solutions, we try not to implement 3 or 4 solutions at the same time, because even if you have a positive effect, you won't know which one of them actually worked. So we actually do things in stages. So you put one change at a time so that you can actually see the effect of it and then implement the next one. You as an individual can do exactly the same thing. Do some daily reflections and look at everything that you've been doing on a daily basis if possible. Do it on a weekly basis if need be. To start off with, you can increase the timeline, look at the whole month. But the reason a daily one is good is because everything is still fresh in your mind, and you tend to find yourself documenting more information because you still remember it. It's just happened. Now, when you look at this daily reflections, you can then analyze this as if it's not you. You can look back at everything that you've been doing and you can question yourself. Do these activities line up with the goal that I set for myself? Is this taking me towards it or far away from it? And then you can start picking out the small activities that are not helping you and implementing more on the ones that do work, that are working. If something is bringing you closer to your goal, see if you can increase it, see if you can do more of it. And if there's something that's taking you out, if it's not possible to just completely remove it, see if you can reduce it. But you won't know unless you do daily reflection. Start looking back at the things that you're doing on a daily basis and see how you can improve. Number 3 is seek honest feedback. Now, it's important for it to be honest feedback, ideally from someone who knows you, someone who can tell you the truth from a point of wanting to help you, not necessarily someone who just tells you the truth and just throws it at you for the wrong reasons. Okay, you want someone who is trustworthy, and ideally you have that person in your life who, if they tell you something you don't want to hear, you understand that this is being said from a place of love. They want to actually help me, right? So honest feedback is very important, because the easiest person to lie to is yourself. So it's important for you to do your own daily reflections, have a look at the situation based on your understanding, but then sometimes we are biased to a certain extent and we convince ourselves of certain lies and they seem so right, which is is why it's important to have someone else who's outside of us to give us honest feedback. This is based on anything that you're trying to do. I would recommend number 3, which is very important: seek honest feedback. Last one, number 4, is focus on the process. I've mentioned in videos before that in the journey of success, success isn't in the destination. Success is actually in the journey, right? It's not in the destination, it's in the journey, i.e., as you move towards the goal that you're trying to reach, the small steps forward need to be celebrated because they are the ones that take you to the big success. If you're looking to lose weight, I'm still sticking with that same example. You're looking to lose 10 kgs of weight. The day that you lose 5 grams of weight because of something that you've changed, celebrate that, because those tiny little 5-gram losses are the ones that eventually get you to the 10 kg loss. So it's in the process. Now focus on the process. The other element of this is understanding that if something is not working, it's not you, it's the process. This is a Japanese concept. As I mentioned before, I'm an engineer and I worked in manufacturing engineer. We assemble items. Either it's items that are for construction vehicles or actually vehicles themselves, cars. When you assemble them, and in that process that has been created to know that this is the first thing you put together, then you put this together, and then you put this together, eventually a whole car is created based on small parts that are put together. If something doesn't quite work out, the Japanese say you don't blame the person, you blame the process, because if you blame the process, there's something you can change about it, right? You understand what it is that's been done in there. Does that process work? Maybe it worked 10 years ago because the components were different, but it's no longer relevant today because the components are different. And if something goes wrong and you quickly blame the person, you're still going to have the same problem even if you change the person, right? But if you look at the process, and if the process determines that this is what's supposed to happen, but it's not given the intended result, then you analyze whether the process is still relevant. Same thing happens with us, guys. If there's something you're trying to do and you've created a plan, look at the process and see what it is that you can improve about it. If there's something that's not working, change the process, not the person. Change the process, see if you can adapt it into whatever it is that's required to yield the results, okay? But focus is on the process. Right? Hope that helps today, guys. This is all I've got to share with you in terms of how to stay grounded when things are going well and making sure you avoid complacency. We don't want to go backwards. You can keep going up and forward. You can plateau if need be, but we don't want to drop back to where you were before. So let's ensure that we actually implement some of these rules. If you find this important, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And also feel free to comment and share some more content if there is something that you want to add in there, or if you disagree with something, please feel free to respectfully share your information, share your opinions in the comments. That would be much appreciated. Hope you're well, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, guys.